All right, the season is over for the Giants and Jets. The regular season finales have been played on Sunday. So we're going to talk about the Giants and the Jets season, look a little bit back at it, and look ahead. Joining me, Connor Hughes in studio with me, SNY NFL Insider. Connor, good to have you in studio and not outside in the elements like when we talk most weeks. So it's good to be here. How you doing?
I know. It's been weird. I've been on like the Jets pregame show, the Jets postgame show. It's probably the first time in a while that I haven't watched a game from a stadium. Yeah. So it's a little new, little unique, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good to have you here. So let's get the bad out the way, right? Yeah. That would be the New York Jets. This was a team that I know you were high on at one point in the season, but then they lost 7 games in a row, as all the fans know. When you look at this Jets team right now, losing 6 games in a row to close this season out, do you look at the season as an improvement in terms of the win total, or is it a failure because of how they closed the season?
I don't view it as a failure. I think I just look at it as a little bit of a disappointment, right? I mean, if you would have asked me way back when, in August of training camp or OTAs, minicamp, anything like that, and said, what do you expect the Jets to do this year, I would say win anywhere from 6 to 7 to 8 games. I'd say go into December and play meaningful football. I would say towards the end of the year, start playing the mathematical game of if this, then that, and you can make it into the postseason. And all of those things the Jets accomplished this year. They played meaningful games down the stretch. They were alive all the way through the new year. We were able to play the math game to find scenarios where the Jets could make the postseason. So in a way, they did take legitimate steps forward. They did improve on past years. They did get better as a team and further their rebuild. But it's a little bit hard to not be disappointed in the overall outcome of this year because the Jets did start this year 6-3. They were 7-4 to begin December. Like you said, They lost 6 straight games, which just is unacceptable. So this year was definitely a step in the right direction for New York, but in no way, shape, or form was it really an accomplishment because when you start that fast, expectations do change, and they certainly changed for the Jets, and they didn't meet them.
Yeah, expectations absolutely changed for the Jets, and for Jets fans, most of them disappointed with the finish that they saw here. Now, we're going to talk about the Giants. They are headed to the playoffs. They will play the Vikings. The G-Men will be on the road for this one in Minnesota. Do you like the Giants' chances to get an upset here on the road?
I do. Look, I mean, it took basically a 61-yard prayer off Greg Joseph's leg for the Vikings to beat the Giants in their first matchup on Christmas Eve, right? I mean, it was that 61-yard field goal. The Giants played that game close. They played it tight. They had an opportunity to force overtime, and if they went to overtime and the Giants touched the ball first, I kind of like the opportunity for the Giants to win that game. So there's no doubt in my mind that the Giants have a chance against Minnesota. In fact, I really like their chance. I think that I've said this from the beginning, that if the Giants play the Vikings in the playoffs, I love the Giants to not just play Minnesota close, but take Minnesota down and beat Minnesota. I mean, the key to this game is going to be Justin Jefferson and the Giants finding a way to slow him down. They did not do that in the first meeting, right? I think it was 12 catches, 130-something yards, the touchdown. He had the screen pass, which put the Vikings into field goal range or into long field goal range there at the end of regulation. If the Giants can find a way to slow him down, they're going to have a chance to win this game, and I like their chances of winning this game, and I actually like their chances to not shut Jefferson down, because I don't think anyone's going to be able to do that, but at least slow him a little bit, because in that first meeting, they did not have Xavier McKinney, they did not have Adoree Jackson, and the Giants figured to get both of those guys back for this rematch with Minnesota, and obviously McKinney's a good safety, and Jackson was playing at a Pro Bowl level before he got hurt against the Lions.
All right, we'll see how the Giants do and the time for that matchup coming up in the wild card round. Now, Connor, back in October, you and I talked about the future being bright for New York football, both of these teams, the Giants and the Jets. Do you still feel that way with how the Jets season ended and the Giants ascending towards the playoffs? Is the future bright for both teams?
Giants, absolutely. I mean, their big thing is they've got the coaching in place. It sure looks like they might have the quarterback in place, too. The key for the Giants now is just continuing to round out this roster with talent. And, you know, considering what Joe Schoen was able to do with I mean, basically, you know, Scotch tape and Elmer's glue to put this roster together this year, I mean, he's going to have legitimate draft picks this coming off season. He's going to have legitimate financial flexibility to spend in free agency. He's going to have means to go trade and acquire players. I mean, I think we're really going to see just how good Joe Schoen is a year after we saw just how good Brian Daboll is and just how good Daniel Jones can be. So the Giants are in tremendous shape. For the Jets, it comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that's getting a quarterback. If they can find a way to come away with Jimmy Garoppolo this offseason or Derek Carr this offseason or the white whale that is Lamar Jackson, I think that the Jets will be in just as good a position. So, I mean, I love both teams' coaching staffs. I love a lot of the roster pieces. I like the Jets roster more than the Giants right now, which is understandable just because Joe Douglas has been in place longer than Joe Schoen has. But if the Jets can get their quarterback and Joe Schoen can go to work now with, like I said, actual resources, I really do like the future of both these teams.
All right, there you go. Connor Hughes, SNY, NFL Insider, letting you know the future is still bright for both teams. We'll see how it goes. Connor, it's been great talking New York football with you all season. We'll do it through the playoffs, at least as long as the Giants.
One more week, at least.
At least for one more week, we will do it. That is Connor Hughes. Connor, thank you for your time. Appreciate it, man.